Go. Get the music and... Welcome to the Wrestling Perspective Podcast. I'm Dennis Farrell, alongside my good friend, co-host, and what apparently is the only original-ish TNA holdover now, Petey Williams.
How's she going, eh?
Do you like how I started this week's show?
That's somber music.
Yeah.
That's like when somebody dies at war. Like that's like
does it feel
funeral.
Does it feel like someone has died to you though?
I wouldn't say die because when somebody dies, you can't really talk to them anymore unless you're like like unless you're a medium or something like that. Medium, but I mean it kind of reminds me. I remember the day when I was released by Impact back in 2009 or whatever it was. And it's kind of like it comes to it's like, hey, I saw these guys on a weekly, bi-weekly basis that were my friends for years. And we all live in different states and whatever. And the only time we saw each other was at the tapings and hung out and did cool things. And, we're great friends. And when that's taken away, you're like, wow. Part of it is losing your job. Okay, that's one thing. But then you're like, I'm not going to see these guys. I don't know when I'm going to see these guys again. And it hits home. It hits home, and you don't know how to really handle it.
So we are going to take a super deep dive into this. And you know what? You're going to be honest. And I've told you before we hit record that I'm going to be pretty harsh on Impact, which I like Impact, and I'm not going to be harsh just to be harsh, right? You know that if I say something harsh that Impact has done, it doesn't come from that's the cool thing to do to bag on Impact, and not necessarily this is Impact's fault, but to get people caught up to speed. It was you and I were going to do a podcast, and we were joking around that there was really no news to talk about, so we decided to push the podcast off a day. And then 20 minutes after we made the decision, you get an email that basically says, just to inform everybody, SonJay Dutt and Abyss has taken deals with WWE and they'll no longer be part of the Impact brand.
Yeah. I mean, they were talking about other things in the email as well. That wasn't even the first paragraph, so I thought it was like, oh, this is the email, like, this is what we've accomplished. This is what we're setting to do. Ed sends out emails like that I don't know if it's every quarter or every month or whatever the case may be. And then like in the next paragraph, I read it and I'm like, wait, what? I had to reread it like probably 2, maybe 3 times. Cause I'm like, what? Like, I didn't believe it at first. And I kept on reading, and it said that Conan and Tommy Dreamer will now join the creative team, and then it wasn't a negative email at all. Like Ed wished them the best, and it is what it is, I guess.
So let's start with the line of questioning, as in. They're gone. We reached out to SonJay and Abyss, and both of them said they couldn't do any interviews now because they're under contract with the WWE and their strict media rule. Which we kind of thought, well, maybe we'll get lucky and get like 5 or 10 minutes. And you kind of said this off the cuff to me, which it kind of spoke volumes for what we thought SonJay. And he, by the way, I read somewhere that he actually turned down an opportunity for the WWE in 2017. I'm not sure how true. Yeah. Okay, so that part is true. This is not the first time they've courted him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he went down there. I'm trying to think, and I think it's common knowledge. He went down there to be like one of those guest. What are they called? Guest.
Trainers.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And yeah, I'm pretty sure they wanted him. Well, they did want him to sign him, and at the time, I think they wanted him to be a part of NXT, and this is a few years ago, and relocate his family, and just. And that's the thing. Like SonJay and I, if this were, like Petey Williams, SonJay Dutt, and all the guys I used to hang out with, like in 2000 and whatever, before we had families and our kids were in school and we had deep roots and stuff, it's a totally different thing. Like we started off traveling all the time. When you get families and stuff like that, things change. So it's very understandable that SonJay's like, hey, I'm not relocating my family to. I think he had to live in Orlando or something like that. So, I mean, some opportunities you have to turn down at the time. It's not what's best for you and your family. And apparently, whatever terms they came to with SonJay, was best for him and his family.
Now, I'm going to ask you to put words in Sanjay's mouth, and it's unfair, but this is just the way this line of questioning goes, Pete. But do you feel like this is more of a decision to move on from Impact or a deal that he can't refuse? Because I kind of feel like it's more of a deal he can't refuse. I saw Ethan Page tweet something that spoke volumes of you can't stay in one place forever, which puts it in the perspective of maybe it's not so much Impact or the direction, it's just it's WWE.
Yeah, and and I
last
night
nothing.
when I was, what's that?
And you know nothing of his contract.
No, I didn't ask. I wouldn't ask. That's. I'm not gonna do that. Like, he wouldn't ask that of me. You don't ask that kind of stuff. But obviously, I talked to SonJay for a little bit yesterday, and I congratulated him. And all that kind of stuff. And we talked about the things where like, hey man, probably not going to see you again unless we bump into each other or whatever. And that sucks. That's the biggest part of it. But I'm happy for him. Like that. Like SonJay. Like I don't know what the people at home watching our product think of SonJay and whatever the case may be. But I'll tell you what, SonJay did a lot of work for Impact. He did. Like I remember we talked about this when Jeremy Borash left. Jeremy Borash did a lot of work for Impact. He took on a lot of the workload. And SonJay's the same thing. He did the exact same thing. And guys like Josh Matthews takes on a whole all the guys, they take on not more than they can handle, but a huge workload. So and I don't know, like and I don't want to put words in SonJay's mouth, but when you're with Impact, it's kind of like I kind of compare Impact to like ECW, not in the sense like of the wrestling aspect or whatever, or the fan base, nothing like that. It's like we're trying to do something. Like I know an ECW, a lot of guys, even wrestlers, did stuff behind the scenes to help with the company, with the product and stuff, and they all had different roles behind the scenes, not only as wrestlers and certain people that just work behind the scenes did multiple things. It's the same thing at Impact. We don't film every week. We film like once a month. So there's a lot of work to be done. So I'm this is all assumption. I'm assuming either WWE reached out to SonJay or vice versa or whatever the case may be. However they got together, they were like, hey, do you want to be? Let's just say his role is going to be an agent. Okay, I mean, in the email it said an agent, which is a producer. It could be more, depending on what happens when it gets down there. But I'm just going based on the email. When you're that in WWE, you have a role. You know what your role is. That is your job. They're not going to say, hey, take this on, take that on, all this kind of stuff. So it's nice to walk into work knowing this is going to be my job for the day, and that's that. So, and I'm going to get paid like this much money. And so if you're looking at structure and like knowing what you're getting into and all that kind of stuff, that's great. I mean, that's less stress and all that kind of stuff. So, and obviously years ago, when we were all younger, before an Impact was even around, or before it was even TNA, we all want it to be in WWE or WCW. Like, hey, this is the big time, right? So it just so happens that SonJay's, I think, I don't know, like 36, 37, or coming up on his 37th birthday, and now he gets his shot in Abyss, who's almost, I don't know, he's probably 10 years older than me, and now he is in WWE, and it's weird how the world works like that.
The Abyss is an interesting one for me. And I just read the headlines, but Tommy Dreamer was on Busted Open and seems to think that there still could be money in Abyss on the WWE level. And I'm going to have to disagree as a fan. I love Abyss. He's a nice guy. I enjoy every time I've talked to him. He's taken time and talked to me. He was almost on the podcast a handful of times, but it just never worked out, which, in retrospect, you kind of kick yourself. Here's a guy that I think will not translate well on the WWE level as a talent. If he's an agent, it's totally different. Maybe you throw him into the Royal Rumble as a surprise and you move on. But I think anything outside of that, I don't think there's money at that level for Abyss. And I don't want to put words in your mouth. I think you're going to disagree with me here, and I'm open to that. But I don't think he will translate well as a WWE talent if that's what they want him for.
I mean, if this were 10 years ago, I would say, yeah, absolutely, Abyss would fit in perfectly. But yeah, obviously, Abyss's body's beaten up, and he's older and stuff. He's done a lot of damage to his body. But I'd say he would have a good short run left in him. Like, not that he's at the level of Sting, but Sting had like a few matches or whatever. I could see him doing a short program with somebody. And that would be that. Like maybe a few month thing. Like maybe it starts at the Rumble, ends at the, something like WrestleMania or shortly after, and that's that. I could see him doing that. I definitely can. I mean, he's a big guy. We don't have a lot of like bigger guys anymore. He's something different, and he's like, I've wrestled him before. He is very, very good, for a big man. But as an agent, he is so good. Like he has the mind, and that's why his matches were always I thought very creative and stuff. Like he came up with that Monsters Ball match that they do.
I hope he takes that with him.
Creative, and like when we have those Thanksgiving matches. If you haven't seen like an Impact Thanksgiving match where you got to wear the turkey suit and stuff, those matches are so fun to watch. I mean, they have good wrestling, like serious. There's comedy in there. There's a little bit of everything in that like 25-minute match, and there's like 10 people in there, and he'll put that thing together, and it always comes off so great. Like he's a mastermind when it comes to stuff like that. So I mean, SonJay and Abyss are both going to do very well over there.
I'll say this. I hope he takes the Monster Ball match with them. The first few times is cool. Now it's just one of those things that's a bit painful to watch. And I'm not into the tax and the blood and gore. So maybe that's part of me being like a skirmishish kind of wrestling fan. I'm just not a Monster Ball kind of guy. But I think you're right. He'll make a great agent. I hope that's as far as it goes with him. I don't want to see him on TV. Now, outside of that, let's talk about how this is going to affect creative going forward and anything else, because not that you guys had an overabundance of talent helping you guys out now. You're now 2 men short in the office.
Well,
yes?
Well, so probably at around Slammiversary of last year, like Abyss, and I don't know the specifics of it, but he wasn't on the creative team anymore. So Abyss left the creative team, and then he focused on still being an agent producer, but focused on talent relations, like booking talent outside and on the independent circuit outside of Impact. That was his thing. That was his new role. So we're only down one creative member, which is SonJay. And SonJay, like, like he did a lot. Like he came up with most of the creative stuff. Like he did the templates and all that kind of stuff. time the show, so on and so forth. So, it's a big loss. You still have like Jimmy, Don, and Scott. So those were the three. So the creative team was pretty much like 4 people: SonJay, Jimmy, Scott, and Don for the past 6 months, anyways. So, adding now Conan and Tommy Dreamer, like Conan, like I think books AAA, and they had hot business with AAA, and we use like Penta and Phoenix and other luchadors, so that's great. Tommy Dreamer obviously has his own show. He used to help with ECW, all that kind of stuff, and Tommy's brilliant too. I mean, you've talked to him, and he'll break down a segment, and you're like, wow, I didn't see it that way. And so I mean, those are 2 good additions to the creative team.
And the rumor that Raven, now I've read in multiple places, I don't know how credible it is, but there's word on the street, and I don't know what street it is, but there's word on the street that Raven is going to be part of this.
Well, that's the first I'm hearing of this. And okay, I mean, I don't know how credible that is. I didn't see that in the email. Maybe it's came up in the past little bit. I mean, and here's the thing now. Even though SonJay did creative, right? Now we're short, and he also was an agent. So now we're short, SonJay and Abyss, 2 agents now, and you got to make those up somewhere. So who's gonna be an agent? Who's gonna be on the creative? All that kind of stuff. So obviously we're gonna see some new agents coming in. I mean, I think that unless they give me like just triple the matches, I don't know, which I'd be fine with, but. You're going to see more agents coming in. Tommy was an agent when he was around as well. But, with Raven, I remember the only time obviously I worked with Raven and Impact. We were both talent. But then when I worked for Billy Corgan's organization in Chicago, I think it was called like Revolution Pro. I could be getting that totally wrong. But I think that's what it was called. He hired Raven as like his, I don't know if he was like the head of creative or was like his head producer, agent type guy. But Raven is good. Like he's got a great mind for stuff like that. He might be stubborn sometimes, but he has a great mind. I remember when I was working with the Billy Corgan organization, they wanted me to wear a mask and call myself the Canadian Destroyer. And in my head, I'm thinking like, why? Everybody's going to know it's me. And they never really gave me direction on which way to go with that. So I was like, okay, well, everybody already knows it's going to be me. So I'll just play that character where I'm like, no, I'm not Petey Williams kind of deal. And, Raven loved it. And Raven actually said to me after watching one of my matches, he's like, your facial expressions, if this makes any sense because you're wearing a mask, but like your animations of facial expressions are better than when you don't wear a mask. And I'm like, wait, what? And I kind of got it though, because when you don't give facial expressions, when people can't see it because you're wearing a mask, you do other things to be more animated to get your point across because you can't do it with your eyes, nose, mouth, all your facial expressions. So I thought that was very interesting what Raven said. And he's good. I mean, I think he would do a good job if he was on there. I know you'll probably disagree, but Raven's been around for a very long time. Johnny Polo, WWE.
Here's why I won't disagree. I don't know anything about Raven's booking style or the mind for the business. I just know ECW, WCW Raven in the ring. That's all I know of him. So I can't make an educated guess oh man, I think he's horrible. I think he's good. Now, you've been in these creative meetings, and you've been around Tommy, and these guys have maybe a little bit harder edge. Do you think now the direction of booking will change a little bit to more of I don't want to say a ECW style show, but do you see now that these 2 pieces are gone, a new regime are coming in, and I wouldn't say totally new, but you have 2 three well-respected names, if the Raven thing is true, coming in. How do you see the shows being booked from here on out?
Well, obviously, Scott and Don have the final say. It's always been like that. And Scott and Don are very open to hearing ideas. Uh, that's it's tough. Like I've heard, Tommy just in passing, like backstage saying, this is why, if he feels like something's not going to work or we should do it a different way, he'll say, this is why I feel this, that, and the other thing. And then Scott or Don will say yay or nay. Like that's what's great about the creative process, because then they could say something like, oh, we didn't think of that. That's a good point, Tommy, or whatever. And so what's good is, these guys aren't like, they're not subtle. They're like, this is how I feel. This is, keep that in mind. So if anything, maybe it's going to enhance the creative aspect of it. I know SonJay, like he had a big workload, and at times by the time we got to TVs, because he's done so much work, it was like kind of burnt out. I could kind of see that, right? Like he was like, okay, it's super late right now. SonJay is not a late, like he's a morning guy. He's not a a midnight owl or whatever you want to call it. So his creative juices are just are toast at that time. He's been doing it, all when he was at home and writing all this stuff and everything. He's kind of like, dude, I just want to go to bed, which makes sense. I get it. Like, I mean, it's hard to think when you're up late and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely gonna bring a different aspect to it. I mean, Jimmy Jacobs by far, I still feel is, and we talked about this in the last podcast, like when they get stuck on an idea, like Jimmy's just, his brain, I don't know how his brain, it's like on, super jet engine, like fuel or something like that, just how he processes things and then is able to spit them out and just lay it all out so it makes sense and stuff. Like Jimmy's really good at stuff like that.
When we first started the podcast, you were retired, and I remember the conversations, because truth be told, I think it's okay now. We're like a year or two now into your coming back from Impact run. We played stupid on the podcast for the longest time. You were having conversations. You were on the fence. Part of the reason for you to come back to Impact, and then also to be more involved in agenting, producing, booking, was because of SonJay. Now he's gone. And we both agree, probably for the better for him. You got to go what's good for you in the wrestling industry. For you now, what's this do for you? Does this make you kind of go, well, he's gone now? Maybe my time in Impact is dwindling down, and I don't have this guy who I enjoyed seeing at every show there anymore. Or does it make you want to work harder to maybe be noticed and move up in the office? What does this do for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. All those things I've thought of, Dennis. I mean, I'll be honest. It sucks, like knowing I'm not going to see SonJay next time I go down there. I mean, that's one of the main reasons I look forward to going down there, because just our long-standing friendship. And it's always nice it's like Cheers. You always want to go to a place where everybody knows your name and you're familiar, that comfort level. But the thing is, Scott's still there. Scott was the one that trained me to be a wrestler, like since day one. He's the one that got my foot in the door at Impact from day one. He's the one that made the call to bring me back to Impact. So Scott's still there. Say if Scott were gone, then it would be like, oh man, I don't know. And it's not that I don't enjoy what I'm doing. It just, part of me is like, I have stuff going on outside of wrestling. The reason why I love going and performing, or not even performing, but producing at Impact, I like being there. I just like being part of the show and doing that stuff, but also being with, the people that I grew up in this business with. So, I mean, that's a really interesting question, Dennis, because I want to see how I feel when I go down to Vegas in February. Now my goal is going to be like, oh, Scott, hire this guy as my agent. He's my friend. Hire this guy as my agent. He's my friend. So not that, I want to play the political card like that, but I'm like, yeah, if I could get all my friends hired, then great. I could show him, what to do to be an agent, and then we can hang out. This is going to be awesome.
Who are your friends? I got to ask you now. Who would be a couple of the guys? Just not that you've had conversation, whether they're under contract or not.
I'm thinking out loud right now. So, I would say guys but you got to remember, a lot of these guys are like under contract, right?
Right.
So I would say guys like, one guy that I don't think is under contract is Alex Shelley, right? One of my close friends. Very brilliant mind when it comes to wrestling, like so brilliant. I always thought he would be the guy that sticks around and pretty much like writes the show like how SonJay does, or whatever the case may be, or lays out promos like Jimmy does and stuff like that. That's what I see from Alex Shelley. But he's wrapped up in doing his I'll just call it real life stuff, and not living in the fantasy world anymore. So he's wrapped up with that right now. Obviously, so the other half, Motor City Machine Guns, like Chris Sabin, right? But Chris Sabin, obviously under contract with Ring of Honor, and sucks that he just tore his ACL and will be out for, I think 8 to 12 months, did they say, or something like that?
Yeah, and which means he has plenty of time now to hang out with us.
Exactly.
Do you think that's what he's sitting there doing right now, going, the bad side is I would say come close to cutting his wrestling career down to, a few more years with this injury. But the good news is, I wonder what Petey and Dennis is doing now.
He's probably thinking that right now. And then obviously Jay Lethal, but I think he's like the champion of Ring of Honor. Guys like, even like a Jimmy Rave. I don't know what Jimmy Rave's up to right now. I know he has a great mind for wrestling and stuff, and help book shows. How he would be as an agent, I don't know. But I think I truly think anybody with a long enough wrestling background that has a good enough mind could be a good agent. I mean, will they be the great or best? I don't know, but I feel like they could be a good agent. Who else? And other guys are in WWE that, I used to hang with, but those were obviously my friends down there. So those are the guys, I'd like to see. I'd even like to see somebody like like a Tyson Dukes, but Tyson Dukes, he would need a visa and all that kind of stuff to work over here. And this is just guys off the top of my head. I'm sure if I, when we end this podcast and I sit down and think about it, I'd be like, oh, I forgot about this guy, and this guy. But yeah, I mean, that'd be great. I mean, to be back in, Impact in 2006, that'd be awesome.
Did you see, let's move on from this, because I can hear the heartbreak in your voice, honestly. And here's the part where I'm going to be critical now for Impact. Look, and I said this on the radio show. Everybody I've ever talked to in Impact has put on a brave face and has been very supportive of the move to Pursuit. And I get it. Whether you want to admit it to me or not, that's, towing the company line, and you're gonna pump it up, whether you're disappointed or not. I'm not going to ask you that question. For me, the move to Pursuit's a step back. Then you lose Abyss, who was just recently put into the TNA or Impact Hall of Fame. You lose SonJay Dutt now to the WWE. I don't know what the future of this company, not financially, but creatively holds. You guys rebounded last year after a few, stalled starts. You've overcame a few bad, weird situations to come out a better company. And this is kind of, for me, how you guys start 2019. I'm a little worried, Pete.
Well, and the one thing that, and I'll quote Tommy Dreamer again, I think we did this, I said it last week, the great thing, one of the great things about ECW was that guys left all the time, right and left, to go to WWE or WCW that was still open at the time. And then when that happened, other people had to step up and kind of take the ball. And they always did that. And then ECW obviously went out of business eventually. But, it was never like, you never looked at ECW and be like, man, this product sucks now. No, like they just built, other people stepped up pretty much. That's what they had to do. So it's the same thing here. Like, and you look at ECW, they were like the land of misfits or something like that. And it's the same thing with Impact. Like, this is the land of misfits. Like, you come in, maybe you make your name and you move on to something else, or maybe you've already made your name and you come to Impact, whatever the case may be. But when people leave, we don't just go, oh, okay. Now what do we do? Like, okay, other people got to step up, and I'm probably gonna have to step up more when I go down there, because I've been aging, and like, say if Jimmy left tomorrow, not saying that's gonna happen. Okay. No, but it's gonna start rumors that he's going to like All Elite Wrestling or something like that. But say if Jimmy left tomorrow or whatever the case may be, well, then I'm gonna have to step, or somebody's gonna have to step up. So that's what's good thing. It creates more opportunity, and you never know who's waiting right behind you. You don't know. You look at careers are made that way. Like when guys like the Hulk Hogan's or Randy Savage just left and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually the guys like The Rock and Stone Cold had to step up. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen.
Can we take a break for a second and play one of my new favorite segments?
Yeah.
This is a segment I like to call Dennis Pays Off the Mortgage on His Ridiculously Expensive New House that he's trying
My favorite segment.
Yes. And this is where we talk about BlueChew.com. If you go to BlueChew.com, Petey Williams himself will give you a free order of Blue Chew, but he's so cheap he's not going to cover the shipping and handling. What's up with that?
Well, I mean, it's the federal mail system. I don't want to mess with that kind of stuff. So, just pay off that, and Blue Chew's on me, guys.
It's $5, Petey. All they have to do is pay $5, and you give them your first order of Blue Chew for free, and it works. It's good. You've tried it yet? Have you? You gotten into it?
Well, I'm on it right now. Can't you tell?
Well, this podcast is going strong right now. We're 30 minutes in with a TV time limit of 60. So yeah, we're doing pretty good.
Oh, I can hang in there. I could do all night if you want.
So go to BlueChew.com. Use the promo code WPP. I don't know why see, here's the thing. The only way Petey's going to give you the free order, and this is on him, not me. I said just give it away. He's like, nope. The only way people get the free order is if they use the promo code WPP. And I'm quite disgusted that you would pimp out our name like this, but this is what you put for their free order, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not pimping out anything. I'm not a pimp. I mean, WPP. You're the one that keeps saying PP. I mean, that's what's ringing in my head right now. But WPP.
You are turning into a 12-year-old, Petey Williams.
I am. All the innuendos. It's just I can't get it out of my head.
What's your favorite planet?
Oh my God! I'm gonna say Uranus, but oh man,
you said Uranus.
I know.
During a Blue Chew ad. Okay. Listen, Blue Chew. Go to BlueChew.com. Use the promo code WPP. And you get your first order free. Just pay $5 shipping and handling. You know it works because it's made with the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. It's chewable, so it works twice as fast as the pill. I pop it in before a shower. I come out. I'm ready to go. Look, you don't have any doctor's visits, so there's no weirdness sitting in a doctor going, why are you here? Well, my little PD pump isn't working, so I got to keep moving on. See where I did there? Little PD pump. See that? Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, my favorite character name of all time.
Anyways, using it, by the way, not personally using it, but using the promo code helps the podcast grow and keeps us on the air. So we ask you, as fans of the show, please go out there, use the promo code. I don't care if you put it in the drawer. I don't care if you use it. I don't care what you do with your free order. Hopefully, your girlfriend, wife, boyfriend, depending on who's listening and when, you can feed it to them knowingly, by the way. Don't spike their drink with the Blue Chew. That's not cool anymore. Mm-mm. But look, just have fun on us. That's all we're saying, Pete. We want to make the world a better place.
Yeah, more fun, better place. I mean, that's all we're trying to do. That's all we're really ever trying to do.
And speaking of making it a better place, if you go to whatforapparel.com/WPP, go buy yourself a shirt. It's one of the lowest priced wrestling podcast shirts out there. We did this on purpose. We are putting people over profits. So we want you guys to go out and buy a shirt. We don't want you to have to pay an arm and a leg. They're great shirts. Whatforapparel.com is a great place to go buy shirts. If you add a / in WPP, then it's even better because you're buying a shirt for us, and it brings a smile to Pete's face.
Yeah, and you know what? I like when people wear the shirt and send pictures too. I mean, that brings an even bigger smile on my face.
You could use a smile. I mean, it wasn't like you just lost your best friend to a rival company or anything.
I wouldn't say they're rivals, but again, very happy for SonJay. Really disappointed that I won't be able to see him all the time.
All right, let's move on and talk about a few more topics before we wrap this up. I'm shocked that even that went as long as it did, but there are still other things to talk about that's Impact related. There was news on the horizon that apparently Chris Jericho was kind of close to signing with Impact, and that they've made a pitch for Kenny Omega to come to Impact Wrestling, which I don't think it'll happen. All Elite Wrestling seems to be the place he's going to end up going, but boy, the landscape of Impact could have been drastically different if you could have gotten Chris Jericho and or Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, two huge stars right now. Probably the two of the biggest stars that would be going to All Elite Wrestling. Yeah, it would have been interesting if All Elite didn't end up, happening, I guess you could say, if it wasn't a thing. Where, Jericho and I could see Kenny Omega staying with New Japan. Since we're playing fantasy booking, it'd be interesting. I think everybody would have stayed exactly where they were if All Elite was never a thing. And then, yeah, the potential of Jericho coming would obviously it would have been greater, obviously.
Here's a little blurb, by the way, from the article that I was reading. It was talking about how the Observer newsletter reported that Impact Wrestling's co-executive vice president, Don Callis, was said to be very close to signing both Jericho and Omega to contracts before All Elite Wrestling brought their own offers to the table. Callis also happens to be friends with Jericho, and he was instrumental in helping set up Jericho versus Omega in New Japan. It's currently expected that Omega will sign with All Elite after his deal is up in January 31st, so on. Let's see here. And that's kind of about it. There was no... Oh, here's the interesting part. Before All Elite entered the picture, the plan was for Omega to continue working with New Japan and work for Impact Wrestling for about 30 dates per year. Meanwhile, Jericho was going to work with Impact and continue to work with New Japan for another year. This was based on Jericho getting a great deal and input on his creative. So, man, 30 dates a year, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that would pretty much be... That would be a lot. All of our TV tapings, probably.
And a couple one-nighters.
Yeah, and there could be a couple other things as well. And a lot of our talent, not a lot of our talent. Yeah, like they're on, like, obviously, like Austin Aries was like on, you're signed for 15 dates and all that kind of stuff, and that's a good business model, right? Mm-hmm. Because you have your core group. Like before Impact, they had everybody signed to, guaranteed deals or whatever you want to call it. Now it's like, okay, they have the core group of guys signed to guaranteed deals. Everybody else will be on like, a per show thing. It's a smarter business model. And that way you can focus on your core group of guys than trying to be like, oh, we got to focus on this guy because he's on a guaranteed contract. We're not getting our money from them and like money's worth from him and all that kind of stuff. So to have that, I mean, if that were the case, why would Kenny Omega say no to that? He's like, oh, I still get to be under contract with New Japan or stay with New Japan. And then I'm allowed to do 30 dates over here in the US to build my name. Like that would be huge for him. I don't know I don't know what All Elite's offering, but that would almost be better than going to All Elite, I would think, because you get the best of being overseas and in the US. But then again, if All Elite's teaming with the Chinese group, you could still be overseas there, and they could build, their fan base over there. So, yeah, very interesting on all parts. I mean, my mind's just racing of all the different possibilities.
And there was also a report talking about how All Elite and Impact might probably team up and start working together. And as a fan, sure, I'd love to see this. Now, I'm thinking of this as a little bit more of a fan and trying to be the business side of things. And it seems like, olive and water here, olive oil and water. It doesn't seem like it would be a good fit. Unless All Elite is having trouble getting a TV deal, which I doubt that's the case. There's nothing, and you're going to probably jump down my throat. I don't know what Impact can offer All Elite that would make them need to team up with Impact. Does that make sense?
And I would say it's a good marketing ploy.
And I don't mean it to sound like a slap in the face, and it doesn't mean to be. But you're All Elite. You have all the buzz. If you sneeze, every single dirt sheet and paper covering it right now. You have the most hype, which can be probably detrimental if you think about it, because they could burn the fans out even before they run the first show. So this is something they probably need to, pump their brakes on a little bit. But, if I'm All Elite, I'm looking to team up with somebody that is bigger than me. I think Impact and All Elite are about on the same footing right now. Once All Elite gets its TV deal, depending on where it is, I might have to put them a little bit higher than Impact.
I mean, right now, they're the hottest thing. I mean, you could put them higher than Impact right now, just because more people are talking about them than anything else that's not WWE. So, I mean, I could see something like a good marketing, I wouldn't call it a ploy, but just a marketing gimmick, I don't know, whatever the case may be. Once they get up and running and stuff like that, to all of a sudden have a super show with Impact, or have a super show with Ring of Honor, if they still have good ties with them, have a super show with whoever. I mean, that's a big deal. That would be like, oh my God, a super show. When you use that word, it's like, oh, two worlds colliding. That's pretty cool. We thought we'd never see that. But that's a big deal. The only problem I see with this All Elite Wrestling is right now it's so hot. When you look at Impact, when it was TNA in 2002, they were like, oh, what is this? And we built up. Right now, I'd say All Elite is already at the up. Now there's a lot of high expectations. And if they don't meet them, people are going to be like, oh, man, I was expecting so much more. So that's what they have to be careful of. Right now, they have all the hype in the world, which is great for them. And all they have to do is deliver. That's all they have to do. And they'll be all set. But if they don't deliver, they'll be in a world of trouble.
Can I make an announcement about you and I?
Sure. I don't know what this announcement is, but yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to publicly acknowledge that I have officially acquired the rights from Petey Williams to host a Wrestlemania party at my new ridiculously expensive home with a mortgage that I have to take Blue Chew ads out on to pay off. And that from here on out, I will be hosting the official WrestleMania party of us, me and you.
Yeah, I mean, all the bikini women are going to come over there, and I'll bring the butler, and it'll be a great show.
Yeah, I'm excited. Here's how excited I am. Right, so part of the deal between the wife and I to acquire this home is I get the basement, and in the basement I am going to build a True Blue bar. I've got a little budget. It's a little bit bigger than little, but I'm enough that I'm going to put an actual bar in there, a couple refrigerators, a couple bar tops. I'm buying a 65-inch 4K television to mount.
Nice.
Yes, I know. I'm really excited. I'm not going to lie to you. And the first party that we're going to hold is a WrestleMania party. You have already confirmed, and unless for some freak reason you go to wherever WrestleMania is and wrestle on a show. That's the only way you can get out of this.
That's the only way I can get out of it?
That's the only way.
Okay, so sick kids is a no-go?
No,
gotta still come?
No-go.
Okay.
You can throw them in one of our bedrooms or something, lock them in there. I don't care. But you are locked into a 5-year contract. I just made that number up. It sounded really official.
That's pretty good. I'll take that. So all the way 35 through 40.
Yes.
Okay.
And you're locked into coming to this party. Now we're willing to renegotiate at the end of that for party rights if anything has changed going into the future. But if we are friends, I'm going to put this out here, Pete. This is I want this to be a really cool party, and we have a few close friends that listen. I'm not going to do the stupid invite thing, but if you you have my phone number, and we're friends. Consider yourself, and you like wrestling, consider yourself pseudo invited to this thing. Do you like how I did my invite list?
Yeah, no, that's good. It's like an open invitation. I remember last year I stopped by your place for WrestleMania for a little bit, and that's when you introduced me to the M43 beer, which I love. I've never had it before. So, obviously this podcast is brought to you by M43 now.
I wish.
But yeah, I remember that, and I still drink it to this day. Great beer. I know there's always going to be something good when I go over your place for WrestleMania.
Yeah, and listen, the guys from Detroit Sports will be there. I hope they're invited. I will even say Grocery Store Derek, who is fringe but friends with you, he can get an invite to this thing.
Yeah, I just ran into him yesterday. I had my kids and stuff like that. He gave them suckers, at the grocery store. They were all really excited. And then the first thing he said to me was like, "You see Ray's doing your move now?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man." Yeah. So
that's it. It's not how you doing. Love the podcast. It's you see Ray's doing your move.
Yeah, I mean, we got a short amount of time and stuff like that. So he wants to get down to it. And I you know what? I'm not a big guy when it comes to like small talk and stuff like that. So I respect you when you get to the point of this conversation instead of like, some weather we have out there, or like how's everything going? It's like, see Ray's doing your move now, and I'm like, oh yeah.
So I just want to throw that out there. I'm really excited to be able to do that, and this is like great because I'm gonna have my own. Last year at our party, it's like me, you, and a couple people sitting on the couch, and my wife's like, "What's going on? What's that?" It's like, "Oh my God, please put a sock in it. I love you, but please put a sock in it." God bless her. Anyways, now we're gonna have our own dedicated spot. We're gonna have bar tops, alcohol. I'm like a kid in a candy store right now.
Hey, I mean, we don't even know the card right now, so when it gets closer to the date, maybe we can. We got to make some bets or something. That's what we got to do.
Oh my gosh, yes! So we'll get some poster board, put it up on the wall, and we can check things off as we go. People put like $5 in, and whoever gets. Oh, dude, I'm so excited.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome! And then I'll just text SonJay like, "Hey, who's winning this match? Who's winning this match?" And then I'll win all the money.
Oh, that's good. I'll text Abyss, and we'll tie and split the money.
Yeah, we'll have to split the money, but we'll split everybody else's money. This will be great.
Oh, perfect. So yes, if you know me and we're friends, hey, you know what? I know that him and I aren't really friends, and I don't really like him too much. But if you want to invite Chris Sabin, who's a little bit down on his luck and probably could use a pick-me-up, feel free to send him an invite. I don't, I know that. I don't know if two other friends are doing anything. I don't know what AJ Styles or Samoa Joe are doing that weekend. But if you want to send them invites, they are more than welcome to come too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll be able to stop by. They don't have anything going on that day. I did go to one WrestleMania party with Sabin. We were doing PWG in California, and our flights weren't till later on. And, obviously the time changed, stuff like that. I think WrestleMania started at 4. We were catching some red-eye flights home. And, I mean, I didn't really know anything much that was going on in WWE at the time. And either did Sabin, because you just kind of following it. Mm-hmm. And it was the WrestleMania where Batista beat Triple H, and then John Cena won his first title and beat JBL. I don't remember it being that good. I don't remember who Undertaker wrestled. I just remember staying at the hotel the night before, and like Frankie Kazarian was there, and he's like, "All right, man." He had just signed with like WWE, or he was about to, and he was a druid actually. He was like, "Yeah, I got to go be a druid. I mean, I'll see you guys later." I'm like, "All right, dude, see ya." Like, and then of course you're like, "I wonder which one Frankie is," because there's like 20 druids out there, druids.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, WrestleMania always, regardless of if I even know what's going on in the show, it's always like it's like the Super Bowl, like you kind of have to watch it. It's just like it's like an American pastime, kind of, even though I'm Canadian.
So hang on now. Is there a story here? Because you're like, I went to a WrestleMania party with Saban, then you spent the whole story explaining what WrestleMania was.
That's it. You mentioned Saban, and I'm like, oh, I remember going to a WrestleMania party with him.
Did he have
and
fun?
There's a bunch of people there we didn't know or anything. But yeah, we were just kind of bummed. We felt like it was a letdown for WrestleMania. That's all.
Well, you can officially.
I don't remember which WrestleMania that was, but it was kind of a letdown.
I tell you what, fans of the podcast, feel free to tweet Saban and tell him he's invited to my WrestleMania party. That would be a fun way for him to figure this out, wouldn't it? Who's Dennis, and why are these guys tweeting me about him and his party?
No, you've met Saban before.
I met him once. No, met him twice, but he wouldn't remember me.
Oh yeah, that's right. When I teamed up with him in Windsor just recently.
Just recently was the second, and we interviewed him for 6 minutes.
That's right. Okay, so all this is coming back to me now.
Hey, welcome to the show, Pete. So let's wrap up the show. There were so many more things I wanted to get to, but we can save them for next week. Although I do have a listener question here. Let me see if I can pull up his name. If not, I do remember the question. But let's see here. Cody says, "Don't take the bait, Petey. Stay with Impact."
Okay. I'll just say okay.
Jack wants to know, please ask Petey if Impact has more shows for Twitch to help increase subscribers planned. That's a good question.
Yeah, no, it is a good question. Well, obviously we have our Twitch channel,
right?
But it comes down to coming up with new content and just the way we film everything. I guess we could add an extra day at the end of our tapings. To film like some Twitch content, but it's just, the crowd, we've burnt them out from watching like 2 or 3 days of wrestling for 3 hours and stuff, like just to have another show. And I know we did really good in 2018 of going to teaming up with local independent promotions, doing, live Twitch shows and stuff like that. But yeah, that's definitely something that we are actively trying to do. It just all comes down to logistics pretty much. I mean, new content is always, kind of hard to come up with, like when it comes to live stuff. So obviously we're trying, yeah.
Do you know who won't have a Twitch show?
Us? I don't know. Who?
SonJay Dutt.
No, not he was him and Josh used to walk around and do their Twitch stuff all the time. So Josh is going to have to find a new companion, I guess, Petey Williams.
But yes, us too. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to pretend that the people blocking us from getting successful within Impact was SonJay and Abyss.
Now that they're gone, the floodgates have opened.
Oh, we're going to... You know what, Petey? Maybe you'll be famous after this. Someone will know who you are.
I hope not.
All right. Anything to promote?
Yeah, I mean, we got, our Impact tapings coming up on February 15th, 16th, and 17th from Sam's Town Casino in Las Vegas. So if you're in or around the area or just want to, take a trip down there, that's going to be a great show. It was a great show last time we were down there. You can find me on Twitter at @PeteyWilliams. And, we got our Windsor tapings coming up March. I think it's like 23rd and 24th, whatever the Friday and Saturday are. And then I believe our April pay-per-view is going to be in Toronto, Dennis. So, this is first year hearing of it. So I think we have another road trip on our hands.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. It's been a while. The next show I'm going to is, I don't know her real name. She's part of the Women of Honor group. Her Twitter handle, part of it is like Sassy. I became friends with her. Great people. I'm going with her. I want to say either a show in Canada or a show in, I don't even know where the show is, but I think my boy Dave Chris will be on that show. I'll have to text him, but I don't know if it's at his Rockstar place or somewhere in Canada, but they invited me to go along with them, so I'm going to go to that show February 3rd, I believe, something like that. So I'm excited about that show.
Well, I know February 2nd, I believe we have like a Twitch show coming up. It's in London. It's not like a women's show, though. I believe it's an Impact show. I won't be in attendance to that one.
I will.
Have prior commitments. But yeah, no, remember the Windsor shows, we'll be at those ones too. So, we got a lot of traveling coming up, in the spring.
I'm excited. I'll start saving money for gas.
Yep. Okay.
Hey, place your ad here so Dennis has gas money.
There you go. Gas money, mortgage payment, just food, you name it, electricity.
Yeah, but look, my kid's already gonna go to a community college. I've accepted that. All right.
Possibly community college, homeschooled, maybe online college.
Oh. I'm sending her to what's the trade school that's famous?
ITT Tech. Yeah, I don't know.
That's where she's gonna go.
I don't know.
By the
online one.
By the end of this, I'll be like, I'm sending her to clown college. She's got a good career as a Shriner Circus clown, and she'll have a good life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't forget, people, you can follow me at Dennis77Farrell, Farrell, WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. You can get this. You can get the radio version of this, which the last 2 weeks, Pete, you've been busy. I've gotten our good friend Russ McCall to sit in on that with me. We just got done doing a Royal Rumble preview show. So powered by SB Nation, heard on over 105 radio stations. We got to get you on the show again. Look, you're busy. You only have time to record once a week. So I feel bad asking you to do more than once a week.
I do what I can. It all depends on schedule. I mean, that's what it comes down to. My schedule is a little bit later this week, just because I gotta have your schedule coming up this weekend. But yeah, we'll just have to play it by ear, Dennis. That's all I can say.
Well, guys, thank you so much for downloading. Petey and I both appreciate it. And rate, subscribe, like the podcast, no matter where you get it. That helps the downloads. And most importantly, tell a friend. That's how we grow. Tell a friend and buy Blue Chew. Pete, I'm going to end this podcast now. I'm done rambling.
All right. And buy a T-shirt. See ya.
And buy a T-shirt. See ya. Bye.